Darren Colton never imagined that pushing a mop through the dusty corridors of the local community gym would lead to anything more than a quiet paycheck and a few nods from polite strangers. He was a single dad raising his 12-year-old son Mason. The best he could, trying to make ends meet after the love of his life, Emily, passed away from cancer 3 years earlier. Life had never been simple since. The gym was the only place hiring when he lost his construction job. Darren had always been strong, but grief took more from him than muscles. It stole his confidence, his fire. He used to lift steel beams. Now he lifted mop buckets. But he did it with silent pride because Mason needed him. Every day after school, Mason would come to the gym, do his homework in the break room, then sneak peeks through the glass walls at the intense military boot camp. Sessions held at the far end of the gym. Veterans and current service members trained there. Some were bulked with combat muscle. Others were scarred but powerful, shaped by duty and sacrifice. Darren watched them too quietly. One afternoon, a group of soldiers were running endurance drills while Darren cleaned the far end of the gym near the water stations. The instructor, a buff and brash combat trainer named Sergeant Reese Vaughn, known for pushing limits and humiliating slackers, barked orders like a general on a battlefield. His voice carried through the entire building. Push. Harder. Don't. Stop till you puke or pass out. He roared. That day, one of the soldiers' new guy, lean but clearly exhausted, collapsed from heat and exhaustion. Sergeant Vaughn laughed. Looks like Private McNeil tapped out early. Then he glanced around and smirked. Hey, janitor want to jump in? Maybe show us how to clean up the mat and the score? The other soldiers chuckled. Mason, watching through the glass, winced. Darren stood still for a moment. Normally he would have shrugged it off. But this time he looked over at Mason. His son was watching, and he was hurt. Not for himself, but for his father. Darren straightened up. He looked at Sergeant Vaughn and said, Yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot. Laughter erupted. A couple of soldiers clapped mockingly. All right, let's see what Janitor Dad's got. Someone jeered. Vaughn pointed to the start line. Obstacle course, full run. You keep up, we'll call you Corporal Mop. Darren stepped out of his janitor uniform, revealing a plain black t-shirt and track pants underneath. His body wasn't the gym-sculpted kind, but it was built by labor, by hauling beams, lifting drywall, chasing a toddler through grief, and it still had the memory of strength. The whistle blew. The course was brutal wall climbs, rope swings, sled pushes, tire flips. Darren fell behind initially, but then something happened. Each obstacle reminded him of something, the rope climb pulling himself up after. Emily died, the tire flip dragging himself out of bed when Mason cried through sleepless nights, the wall finding work. And he worked to feed his son. Step by step. Grunt by grunt, Darren didn't just keep up. He led. By the end, the gym had fallen silent. The soldiers stared, jaws slack. Even Vaughn looked. Impressed, not humiliated, impressed. Mason was standing with both hands pressed against the glass, eyes wide, heart swollen with pride. Darren stood at the finish line, panting hard, soaked in sweat. Vaughn approached. Where'd you learn that? Darren just looked at Mason and replied, Life taught me. To be continued. Part. The gym was abuzz for days after Darren's impromptu performance. Some called it a fluke, others a miracle. But Mason? He knew it was neither. It was the man he'd always seen in quiet moments just finally revealed to the world. Vaughn, in an uncharacteristic move, approached Darren a week later with a proposal. We're hosting a civilian military strength challenge next month. Public event. You've got guts. I want you to train for it. Represent the civilians. Darren was hesitant. He hadn't trained properly in years. But Mason's hopeful eyes, and the spark that had reignited in Darren's heart, pushed him to say yes. Every night after janitor shifts, he trained. Vaughn, now oddly supportive, coached him with discipline and rare respect. The gym crowd grew fond of Darren. He was the underdog. Everyone loves an underdog. Meanwhile, Mason started documenting everything, filming his dad's workouts, uploading clips to social media. The videos went viral. Single dad janitor trains like a soldier trended on multiple platforms. Darren became a quiet hero. Then came the day of the challenge. The gym was packed media, vets, civilians, families, and kids. One of the contestants was a decorated combat vet, another a CrossFit champion. Darren was introduced as the custodian contender. There were scoffs. The events were grueling. Weight carries, speed climbs, box jumps, deadlifts, sprints. Each event chipped away at contenders except Darren. He pushed through every ache, every burst of doubt. When his knees trembled, he remembered Mason's face. When his grip slipped, he thought of Emily and their dreams. The final event was a 3-stage gauntlet sled pull, rope climb, sandbag run. Darren and the CrossFit champ, a ripped 28-year-old named Kyle, were neck and neck. Darren's lungs screamed. His legs burned. But he kept hearing Mason yelling from the sidelines, "You got this, Dad. You're my hero." With a roar that echoed across the gym, Darren surged past the final obstacle. Silence. Then thunderous applause. Even Vaughn clapped. Slowly, then faster. Kyle walked over, breathless, and hugged him. Darren didn't win by speed or flash. He won by heart. When interviewed by a local reporter, Darren simply said, "Sometimes being strong isn't about muscle. It's about showing up when it hurts most." That night, a teary-eyed Mason hugged him tighter than ever. The gym made Darren an honorary coach. Vaughn told everyone, "If I ever go down in battle, I want janitor Dad watching my six." The joke had become a legend. And the world had found strength in a mop-wielding single dad who never gave up.